That was ripped. Hey there, Segudo golfers. Tom Segudo here with Rob Cheney, and we are about to help you with your driver big time, teaching you a new, powerful way to swing the big dog, hit it straight, far, and effortless. And we just really want to help you get some extra yards today without compromising fairways.
Sounds good.
So the first thing I want to talk about with the driver is so controversial, but it needs to be said. Placing the weight forward is the door to opening up your driver swing. So a lot of people think about shifting weight with the driver, but this puts you in some precarious positions. For one, you can't turn. And for two, you're gonna start slicing. So your slice problem, if you're focused on shifting your weight, a lot of slicers are big at shifting and swing off the ball.
Yeah.
So Rob's gonna demonstrate here what the typical golfer is gonna go through. Then he's gonna show you the new way, the powerful way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get this wrong, Tom. And one of the more common questions we get on the channels is, does this work for the driver? I think people are okay with the concept of putting the weight forward for the fairway shots to take a divot after the ball, but when it comes to the driver, they don't see the logic or how that continuation carries on working through. So we'll talk them through that.
Right.
Common problems to start with: golfers are told to put their weight back. They're told to tilt their spine behind the ball for the driver to help them hit up. I'd say there is a spine tilt, but it's produced by the pelvis moving forward, not by the spine tilting back. Common problem, common mistake that you might be making. And then from a more backward setup position, a more weight back biased setup position, golfers are then trying to move and shift their weight behind the ball, usually because they think it will help them make a bigger turn. Often because they think the weight shift is necessary for some sort of power production,
Right.
which is not true. So they'll end up way over here somewhere, and now we're in no man's land.
No man's land. You see how far his head has moved off the ball.
We're lost.
So the problem with shifting is that Rob has compromised contact. We're not sure where this driver will come into the ball. It could be toe, heel, high, low.
Yeah.
And so we need a way to get you hitting it solid. And the first way to do that is we set more weight forward.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, when we set this weight forward, and when you do this with your driver, we're not doing this. We're not leaning the shoulders and tilting it towards the target. It's just a hip nudge.
Yeah.
It's like my hips are on one of those conveyor belts at the airport, and I'm just going.
That lead hip would be kind of over top of the lead foot. As
Yeah,
a nice,
check that out. That's a.
And then the right hip is more inside the lead foot. So the pelvis is to the left of the feet.
And right away, just feeling that, when I've got a longer club, it gives me more confidence to swing out to the ball.
You said that, and as I'm standing there looking down at the
You
ball,
think the same
I can
thing.
feel that my swing path's going to be more into out. It's going to help me hit the ball with more, potential power. It's going to help me draw the ball potentially. If you slice the ball, you're really not ever getting your weight far enough forward, and that's a difficult topic for some people to get their head around.
Yeah, and it's just, setting up weight back, I feel this across type of swing.
Yeah.
There's no power in that, but you can see the weight forward, it's a lot of speed hitting out to the ball.
It really is. So putting the weight on the front helps me to preset the swing path a little more to the right.
Right.
And as you said correctly, it's the weight forward with the hips, not with the upper body. So the spine tilt that we do want that spine tilt.
We do.
We get it from the hips being forward. And that other question, or that extension of that question, is it the same with the driver? That's often the question that comes out. I'd say it's more with the driver.
More. Yeah.
More hips forward, more hip slide through the ball to create more of the spine tilt, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so a lot of times golfers never finish with weight on their front leg with irons or driver, but especially with driver, it seems that there's more weight way back on their right side.
Yeah.
If you were to change into Oppositeville, which is this new, more powerful way, moving to front side and just being a front side around this post type of swing,
Yeah.
you're going to see a dramatic improvement in the amount of speed, as we'll show you here. Rob could swing on one leg if he wanted to. He could take all of his weight off that right side and hit this drive with plenty of swing speed.
Oh, look at that.
That's one. The shot tracer on that's a little misleading.
I blame the guy that put the ball on the tee. All right. Yeah, that doesn't feel strange. I still feel like I could create plenty of turn, really feel like I can hit this, pretty much as far as I ever could.
That
That was nice.
And what's interesting about this weight forward piece, and he just took out his right side from the swing, is that he can swing his shoulders faster just by doing this. So weight forward with the driver, there's opening up a world of benefits.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm just thinking, if I'm swinging my arms, the fastest way to do it is this way. I don't have to. When I start engaging hips or moving weight around, I'm actually slowing down the shoulders. I'm slowing down the arms.
Yeah. I really like this as a concept for so many golfers. It's so much more simple. I mean, why would you want to, even if shifting was beneficial in any kind of speed context, which it's not, okay, I'm not going to have that argument. That's just not true. But even if it was, why would you choose to do that moving around? Because of the chaos that it causes at contact. You can just never have any consistency. So the trade-off would always be too great. Even if it gave you another 3, 4, 5 miles per hour, you just have no prediction as to what you're going to do down here, as opposed to standing there, setting the left hip forward. This is a drill that I like to call the wrench drill that Stack and Tilt talk about. The wrench, the left hip is the bolt, the pelvis is the wrench, and we turn around that forward point. And it's not just me saying this or you saying this. There's tons of golfers out there. If you look at their pelvis, you look at the trace of their pelvis in the backswing, and then how it moves forward in the follow through. It's how the best drivers of the golf ball are doing it. PGA Tour, Live Tour players are doing this. And so it may be new to you, but it's really not reinventing the wheel. It's what the best golfers have done for eternity.
Yeah, they seem to follow that same pattern because it's what you need to do.
Yes.
There's no alternative.
This isn't by accident, right?
There's no accidents here. And also when, let's say if Rob did get 5 more miles an hour, but he hit it off the center of the face, well then he's already lost distance.
Yeah.
But then you say to your friends, well, I swung at 126. I swung it faster than McIlroy, but I missed the ball. Well, there's no benefit to that.
I'm just tired of that argument that you have to shift your weight to hit the ball far. It's just nonsense.
And you can turn so much farther with that weight forward. You look at like maxing out shoulder turn. So the second part I want to talk about is maxing out turn, because this is the distance booster with the driver. I like to think about, and something we haven't talked about a lot together, is really the extension piece. And we covered it in a recent episode on Rob's channel. He was talking about pulling that right shoulder back around him. But something that often gets underlooked, is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. Something that is never talked about is where the chest points at the top of backswing. Rob's chest, his shirt buttons are pointing up at the sky here. So his spine he's not just keeping his body down in this forward bend position. And even if he was going to go back to neutral, even if he didn't extend from this position, he would have just an all arm swing. It would just look like this. You see his chest is pointed down at the ground. So he can't turn. The recipe for huge distance is, let's get this chest skyward. Look at that. And this will work for any golfer, no matter what your age is. This is your spine at work.
It's just an extension, flexion, moving up and down. If you can stand upright,
right,
you can create this piece.
So the recipe for bombing driver, 1, we have solid contact, which comes from weight forward. But then 2, well, we have power, which comes from weight forward. And adding in shoulders and extension.
My swing is much longer here versus...
That's quite limiting.
The freedom I have by setting the bolt, turning the pelvis, straightening the trail leg, I can go back much further.
Look at that.
Without any extra effort.
Yeah, check out his knee. Look at that right leg compared to his left. It's just so much straighter. And his right side actually forms a straight line. So when you get to the top of your backswing, there's a straight line all the way up on his right side, ankle through the side of his body here, side of his chest.
Yeah.
You create that straight line, your body's going to be out of this stuck position into something way more freeing.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and rip another one with that feeling.
Yeah, sure.
Really getting some big extension here. Look at that. It's beautiful. Good swing, Rob.
It's a good feel. And then in the follow through, we have to keep the weight more forward And again, I think that piece gets lost. In order to keep hitting out at the ball and creating the necessary side bend and tilt through impact, there's actually needs to be more of the weight forward through the ball. So that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And if you're not athletic and quick enough to do that from even a neutral standpoint in the backswing, you can't get forward enough, fast enough, then why wouldn't you start with more on the front? Then you've got less to go.
Yeah. It's like you're automating the weight forward process in the downswing.
Yeah. This preset hip bump, hip tilt, hip sway, if you like, really is the presetting of the right tilt that a golfer moves into in the follow through. You know, it's helping them to get to that point. And the vast majority of golfers never get that piece in there. So their hips are back as they come through the ball. They're swinging across the ball rather than the hips forward. They can swing more down the target line or straighter. And that also helps you to shallow out the angle of attack, which is often the argument about having the weight forward with the driver. People think that means you have to hit down. I can tell you my angle of attack with the driver is not down, 2 to 3 degrees up usually.
Wow.
Even with the shaft forward and even with all my weight forward, I'm still able to create a slightly upward angle of attack.
And just a note on angle of attack, when people think about hitting down a degree or up a degree, they don't see that that's almost zero. Like it's imperceptible from the naked eye. Like if I looked at you right now, we could be sitting on a degree, we could be sitting on grass that's a degree down. I would never know.
Yeah.
It looks flat.
Yeah, so people get lost in that argument of the angle of attack needing to be something,
right,
and then thinking you can only create that something by shifting your weight, which is definitely not true.
And you said something in a previous video that even golfers who shift their weight, you've seen plenty of golfers shifting their weight, hitting down.
Yeah, you can have, I would say it's quite common for a golfer to be so far back that the only way they can reach the ball is to start to swing out to in or across. And even with the weight back, because the swing direction is so far to the left, they even take a divot. I mean,
yeah,
if you're taking a divot with your driver, that's problematic. You certainly don't want to do that. And if you struggle with slicing in particular, or popping the ball up in the air, you hit that skied one, you know, where the club goes underneath the ball, and you think you teed it too high. And what you really did was swung down too steep, and likelihood is your weight's too far back. The club's going down. Now, if I push my hips forwards,
look at that,
create this tilt, now my club's going to travel up through the ball. That's how the best golfers do it. There's a wonderful video of Rory hitting the driver from the front view. It's a wonderful demonstration through the ball of his head staying back and his hips going forward, and that's the weight forward. The pelvis is forward. Yeah,
and what you just did there was eye-opening for me, and just seeing that change of impact. You can tell that's powerless, but then that little shift. Look at that! How that changes the face. Now his face is slightly opens. The ball starts a little right, and the path is into out, which is going to get the ball curving back to the target. That little change, moving the pelvis more towards target. You know, like I think pelvis Elvis. I think Elvis, like Elvis hips. You know, hey man, we're gonna hit the drum and draw the ball. You know, it's like, ha ha ha. You know, pelvis Elvis is the draw secret. Well, it's keeping the draw. We're just keeping the draw.
Beautiful. Well said.
You wanna do some more Elvis hips?
I'm not sure I can do Elvis hips like you, but I'll do my best.
And then we'll do some more speed stuff. Good.
That'll work.
Push draw.
That's been my favorite club in the bag since adopting this system. Used to be a struggle for me, driver, and now the lights have been turned on. It's crystal clear and it's so repeatable that it's definitely the strongest part of my game.
Yeah, and I feel like we could have this video for days. We could keep the camera rolling for days and not fully get to the end of this gold mine that we're sitting on, even with weight forward alone.
Yeah.
And how the face is controlled. Like we haven't even covered club face much at all.
No.
This is about power and contact, and controlling the face is built into this in some ways. Because you saw that little adjustment Rob did with hips back versus hips forward and how that affects the club face. That affects fairways. So he's hitting more fairways here than he would from the other position.
For sure.
That face is hard to control.
Yeah.
So one other gem I want to give you, one reason why a lot of golfers struggle, they swing so steeply into the ball. So ways you combat that, you swing from a weight forward position. I think a lot of golfers can just start from here and swing their shoulders and they're automatically going to be shallow.
Yep.
and it doesn't require a huge swing lobotomy. So the last thing I want to talk about is keeping the arm tucked in. Just the right arm tucked in and the relation of that right arm with the shoulder. So when you're at setup, if you're swinging steep into the ball with the driver, it's dead. It's every long irons, anything, but you see big problems with long clubs if you swing steep. So Rob, just show like a steep downswing type of pattern. See the club coming over, down, and then it's death, and then usually it's followed by some 4-letter word of some kind, which we will not say. But then Rob's gonna tuck his right arm in. Look at the difference in position right there, wow. And now he's going to make a backswing, and as he comes into the ball, look at how the club stays more behind him, and then it's in a position where he can drive out through the ball, and I can hear more of a whoosh of speed, like whoosh, whoosh.
I think this right arm position at setup is vital. We did another video that's over on my channel about the right arm, and,
Right.
and we'll link that at the end. People can learn about the detail of the right arm, but just for now, from this down the line view, when you're looking at your swing, your right arm, your right forearm should be underneath your left. Get it tucked in there.
So if you have a friend, stick a grip end of a club in there, and watch this, I'm gonna pry this door. That's getting that arm under and in.
That's a nice one.
Under and in to win.
And that feels like a lot, but it's really not. And I know that from my own swing. I tend to get a little too straight with this right arm, and I can get a bit too steep with my driver. So it's a good feel for me.
Yeah.
And it really does work. The sensation of right arm in, tucked in, the position 3 that we talk about in the other video, that's going to keep you tucked in. And if you keep that in there, I'm going to take Tom's head off here, swinging shallow. That shallow piece comes from the correct positioning of the right arm. That's a really good point.
And then something I want to add with swing speed, once he's in the shallow position, he can swing as hard as he wants. The shoulders are not restricted. The shoulders slow down when the club moves steep. His club slows down. So if he shallows it, he can just go through the ball as hard as he wants. He has freedom to do that, and just send it, because I think it's a good time.
I love that feel. That really helps my setup, gets the path set to the right. Okay.
Rob, I think that was your fastest swing yet.
It's another nice one. I'd certainly take it on the course, and it's easy to do. There's no complicated shifting and lifting and timing involved. It's much more straightforward, which again, I think everyone would be appreciative of something that's more simple.
Yeah, so what we've done here today is we've shown you a new, more powerful, simpler way to hit the driver, based around starting with your weight forward. You saw the benefits of keeping the weight forward, which are infinite.
Infinite.
We could talk about it all day. And then we move into getting extension and shoulder retraction, power booster, the rocket launcher. And then, well, we also figure out that controls the face.
Yeah.
Those things control the face. And then we got the right arm, getting it tucked in and under and in to win. So Rob, thanks so much for an exhilarating driver episode.
Thank you, man.
So glad to do this. And if you want to check out Rob's channel, got a link in the comments and description below. Excellent instructor to follow, and one of the best on YouTube. So thanks again for tuning in.
We appreciate you watching, and if there's any more comments about the driver, I'm sure we'd love to hear from you.
Oh yeah. Let us know how you're blasting those drives. I really want to hear your experience with these techniques.